What happened to Tesla today? Did it reach a temporary top and now is it time to roll over? Is Meet Kevin right or the other people right saying that it's going to roll over to 180 and lower? Well, I'm going to be analyzing the intraday chart for you guys of Tesla, and I'm going to start here on the daily chart. And the biggest reason I see right now for Tesla is what happened on the daily chart is price just went back up to the baseline and it got rejected, right? That's all that happened. And now price is maybe going lower. Now, the question is it going to go to these lower moving averages? So the purple is the 200, the green is the 50, and the blue is the 100-day moving average, right? So is price just going to roll over and continue down to these lower prices, or could possibly price hold and continue higher? Well, let's continue down to the lower time frames first to see what we can see. So if we put on the 4-hour chart here, we can see something that, okay, so price didn't even go back up to this 100 moving average on the 4-hour chart. Right. So there's a possibility for price to even get up to the 228 because it didn't even get there yet. So on the 4-hour chart, it didn't even hit resistance yet. And the 202 is the 200 on the 4-hour chart down here. So what's going to come first? Is it going to roll over and hit the 202 or is it going to go up and hit some more resistance first? Well, let's go down to the 1-hour and see if that tells us anything different. Okay, so the 1-hour is actually holding a support right now of the baseline and almost the conversion line as well. So what happened really in the early times of trading is it broke above both and then it just simply did a back test of these indicators right here, the conversion line and the baseline. So this has a possibility of holding to continue higher to press up against the resistance up above. And do we think it's going to go even lower than this right now? Well, we can turn to the 15-minute chart now. And the 15-minute chart is telling us that we are near support, right? It's near a support right now. So essentially, all that happened, I guess you can just solely look at the 15-minute chart for the whole day. From here, there was a big gap up above all the moving averages, above the cloud. Then what happened? It came back down to test maybe the baseline a little bit. Then a giant bullish engulfing candle here, which shot up 2.73% above all of these indicators. And then slowly what happened is it lost the conversion line and it flipped that conversion line to resistance. And then it went down below the baseline. And now it's getting stuck right above this blue 100 moving average on the 15-minute chart and the green 50 moving average. It's right in between there right now. But what else do we see? Well, we also see that this green cloud is also going to be acting as a support, right? So there could be a little bit more pressure down there, but this zone looks to be like a pretty good support on the 15-minute chart. So what is going to come first? The resistance up above or the support down below? Well, price could test a little bit lower of that 15-minute chart, get to maybe 217 or a wick below, and then continue higher, which wouldn't surprise me. So to get to that support, it's not even that far away right now, right? It could get there really early tomorrow and scare some people out saying it's going to go lower, and then it could quickly rebound like we saw right here, just a giant bullish engulfing candle to continue higher. So it looks to me that support is pretty near for this chart. And now to confirm that support is near, this is where I pull up the weekly chart and the monthly chart. So let's start with the weekly chart first with my angles to see if this indeed is near a support, to confirm that it's not really going to tank and go to those lower 180 targets. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. So here is my weekly chart, and this is the chart that I have been showing on my videos, my weekly recap videos for a long, long time. And we know about these upward sloping angles, right? How they have been perfect for supports, right? This purple one was perfect as a support, the blue one was perfect as support as well. And now we can finally use the downward sloping angle as a support, right? And what I mean by that is this blue, this light blue angle sloping down. You can see all these wicks touching this weekly candle sloping down. And what do we see here? Well, this was a big 27% weekly candle that shot above. And what just happened yesterday and today? Well, we can zoom in here and we can see that it did, in fact, wick through that zone. So, if we remember on the 15-minute chart, that bottom of that cloud was around 217. And where does this angle lead us right here? That angle leads us right here at around 216. So this is a little bit more confluence that 217, 216 zone could be a good support. So we have that 15-minute chart as a confirmation. We have this weekly chart as a confirmation. Let's put on some more indicators to see. So we can put on the Ichimoku for the weekly chart. And if we zoom in a little bit more, look at that blue conversion line right here. This is at 219.21 right here, 219.21. And in fact, it closed above that today. So this is even more confluence of this support zone. So now we have 219 all the way down to like that 216, maybe a wick below to 215s or below, right? So that is our trading range, right? This is our support zone for the shorter term. Now, if this ever didn't hold, then I would suspect price to come back down to test this baseline around 204, 205. Now, if we go back to the daily chart, is there anything that coincides with 204, 205? Let's see. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. So it looks like what coincides on the daily chart for Tesla of 204, 205 is this 200-day moving average at exactly 205.04. Then directly below it, there is the 50-day moving average at 203.15. So we have more confirmation that a support below current price will hold, right? We have confirmation that this should hold if this temporary support does get broken. So I believe that this has a lot of evidence that 205, maybe a wick below to 203 or low 200s is possible if this breaks. And that I think that would be the max pain. I do not think the 180s are in question right now. I don't think it's going to go there simply because there's a lot of support justifying these levels, right? And if we even go to the monthly chart, let's pull that up right now. We can see that there's even more confluence now on the monthly chart for those zones. Okay, so what do we have here? Well, the monthly conversion line sits at 204.90 and the monthly baseline sits at 208.24. So let's all do the math, right? So we have the daily chart, the 200 and the 50 is around 205, right? We have the monthly chart that's around 205 for the conversion line and 208 for the baseline, right? And even the bottom of the cloud here sits around 213. So I did make a post earlier saying if price did close below 213, then that possibly could lead to lower levels, right? Because then that would not be a close within the cloud on a monthly chart. There's still 5 days, 6 days left in the month. So anything is possible. So I still want to see this monthly candle close within the cloud. And a better scenario would be back above this 50-month moving average as well. But that's not really necessary because it can just take some time to break free from this zone. The most important thing would be to close in the cloud above the conversion, above the baseline, and that would just add more confluence that this is going to be support and it's not going to break down further, right? So, again, let's do the math. We'll go through all the charts again. So, on the monthly chart, 204 to 208 is the conversion and baseline, right? We'll go to the weekly chart and we can see that the conversion line sits right here at 219, which is currently support. But if that breaks, then we have on the weekly chart, the 208 is the 100 week moving average, and 210 is the 50 week moving average. And then 204.90 again is the baseline on the weekly chart. So we get, again, if this support breaks, we have a bunch of confluence that the 204 to 210 zone is going to hold, right? And then if we go on the daily chart, we have more confluence that this 205, 203 zone right here, the 200 day moving average and the 50-day moving average is also another confluence that will hold as support, right? What about if we even went to the 4-hour chart? Yeah, there's the 200 on the 4-hour chart at 202.93, right? So I can just keep going and showing you guys that whatever people are saying about 180 on Tesla, I do not see that as a possibility. I don't think that's going to happen. I think worst case, maximum pain you will ever see right now is the low 200s. I think that's just confirmation with everything I just showed you. The low 200s is all we're going to see for a good bounce, but we might not even get there, right? That's why I'm an advocate of like buying on the way down because sometimes the lows never come. And right now, we have price around 219, right? And again, what's at 219 right now? That's right. It's the weekly conversion line. So, if tomorrow's the end of the week, if tomorrow closes above this conversion line, then that will put that would put it at as a new support, right? Going into next week, it could hold as a support to continue higher and higher and try to break the resistance above, right? So the resistance above right now is essentially this 200 week moving average at 232.67. But even before that, we have the cloud right here. And the cloud sits kind of around 223 to 226, right? That is the range of the first resistance level right there. And we already got rejected there today. And the reason was mainly because of the daily baseline right here at 225.33, right? So essentially, it's just in a range from that 219 to the 225, right? If either one of these breaks, then we can expect the next resistance to hit or the next support to hit on the way down, right? So we'll keep an eye on that. But so far, let's just take one level at a time. And right now, we know 219 is support. And if that holds, then it can go back down to 216. And why 216? Well, because of this chart right here, right? 216 is my blue angle sloping down, right? 216 right there, maybe even 215. And then if that breaks, then the 205 becomes possible up to the 210 zone, which I already showed you before. So I believe we're near maximum pain, right? And I do strongly think that this angle sloping down will hold us support because I believe it is a big deal, right? It has never happened before. And I'm just going to take off the Ichimoku just so you can see it clearly. This is the first time ever in the history of Tesla getting on the top side of this angle sloping down, ever, right? And because I think this is a big deal, I think it's going to hold. And because I think it's going to hold, could it just explode higher immediately? Probably not, but it could trickle down a little bit week after week and get to those lower levels. That is a possibility, right? But I still think this angle sloping down is going to hold. And I don't think there's really too much more to worry about for Tesla. And again, I think the max pain is in the low 200s if this does break. But yeah, the opportunities to accumulate are in front of us, in my opinion. And I think if you're waiting for a lot lower, if you're waiting for 180, then I think that's just hopium, and I think it's wishful thinking because right now the charts are not saying 180 at all. If those support levels get broken, then I can reevaluate. But until then, I'm very bullish on Tesla.